This presentation covers the section on teachers and learners, and we're going to start off with teachers. And we could start with a question: what makes a good teacher? I think every person that we ask, if we ask them to provide us with 10 things that might be in their list, then we could come up with some things that are common to everyone. Studies that have been done throughout the world tend to come up with the top 3 being that the teacher is fair, secondly, that they have knowledge of the subject that they are teaching, and finally, that they can motivate the students to learn. So the role of the teacher within the classroom is going to be very wide, and it will often change from moment to moment. In order to illustrate some of the things that the teacher could be doing at various times, we're going to use some of the things that they might say, or some of the things that they may write down, and from those we'll have a look at the role of the teacher at that point in time. So the teacher may say, for example, "Okay, everyone stop and look at me and I will explain." And the role of the teacher at that particular time is that of a manager. So the teacher is actually managing what is going on in the classroom. Second thing that they might say: "Okay, you're going to work in pairs, and that's you, and you, and you, and so on and so forth." So what the teacher is doing at this stage is actually acting as an organiser. Third example, the teacher may say something like, "That was an excellent point, John," and what he's doing there is acting as an assessor to the information that he's been given. For our fourth example, something like, "Good, and what did you see at the cinema?" So what we're doing here is we're moving information along, and the teacher is acting as a prompter of information. Fifth example, those have all been very good examples that you've given. My own worst nightmare is, and the teacher is therefore becoming part of the class itself, and we could call that acting as a participant. Next one, talking to a pair who are working. "Okay, you're both nearly right, but," and then go on to explain something. When working with individuals or with small groups, you're acting more as a tutor than a teacher for the whole class. Next example, having done certain bits of work, we can now say to the students, "Okay, now create your own postcard," and the teacher there is acting as a facilitator. Example number 8, the teacher may say something like, "Okay, now listen carefully to the way in which I pronounce this word." So what the teacher is doing in this case is actually modelling the language, acting as a model. For our final example, whilst an activity is going on, the teacher may write a note to himself. Joe and Leck are up to number 9 in this particular activity. So what the teacher is doing at this point in time is to act as a monitor for the class. So assessor, prompter, participant, tutor, facilitator, model and monitor are some of the roles that a teacher will play. Which role that you have at any particular time in a lesson just depends entirely what is going on in. So moving on from teachers to learners, we need to bear in mind that our learners will bring different things to the classroom in terms of their experience, in terms of their motivation to actually be there, and in terms of their behaviour once they're actually there. So we're going to draw out a table of those different factors depending upon the student's age. We're going to split up our age groups into, firstly, what we'll call the young learners section, and secondly, the adults. Within the section of young learners, we need to break those down further into some subgroups depending upon their age. So whilst different people may have different classifications for what they consider to be young learners,